Hey guys, come check this out. I want to show you something. Hello everyone, this is Kevin from Hidden Hill Skillz, and in today's video, we're gonna finish making this power rack. Power rack part 2. Let's do it. The first thing that we're gonna do in this build is we're gonna finish making the side walls to the power rack, and we're gonna make sure that they can open and close with the fixed piece that we put up on the wall. For all of my locking pins and the rotating pins in the corners of the power rack, I'm using 1/2" black steel pipe. Now that I finished cutting the arms and legs for the sides of the power rack, I decided to go install them at the fixed portion of the power rack inside the workout room, as opposed to creating 2 separate structures down in the shop and then installing them each individually. This way, I could make sure everything is aligned properly and spaced out correctly, instead of hoping that everything would fit when installing a single piece. This may not have been the easiest way to do it, but it's the way that I decided to go about it. So I made a little bit of a mistake. Initially, when I took the measurements of my barbell and how wide I wanted my power rack to be, I took the measurement based off of the midpoints of the 4x4s instead of the outer edge. So now, as you can see down here, the barbell rests perfectly outside of the frame of my power rack. The problem with that is that not every time are you going to rack your barbell up on the power rack perfectly. Especially when you have a lot of weight on your back, you want a few extra inches of clearance so that you don't have to rack it perfectly every time. You don't want the risk of dropping it because you couldn't get it in there, down to the 1/4 inch. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the sides off, I'm gonna take the frames that I've mounted to the wall, take those off the wall, and shift one side over 2.5 to 3 inches in order to give me a little bit more room. And then when I make the J-hooks, I'm going to make them a little bit thinner than the 3.5 inches that a 4x4 is by standard. So my idea is just to mark where it's lined up right now, and then when I shift it over, I'll make a horizontal mark so that when I shift it over, I have it level to where it was before. And then I'll make a vertical mark as to where the 4x4 used to be, so I know to move over 2.5, 3 inches from that point. I'm gonna need a clamp, because as I remember before, I had to put my weight on it to keep this 2x6 from twisting on me. Okay, so now I'm gonna check really quick whether when I install the side, if it's going to run into the L frame on this side. barely doesn't touch at the bottom corner. All right, now it's time to install this bad boy back up on the wall and then put the sides back on. So I've got some offcuts here from when I made the frame for the power rack, and I'm going to use these to make my J-hooks. I'm going to take this 1-inch Forstner bit, and I'm going to drill a hole 1.5 inches from the long side and 1 inch down from the top side. Once I have that hole, then I'm going to take my bandsaw and I'm going to cut some straight lines, and my barbell will be able to rest on that part of the wood. I don't have a spindle sander right now, but what I do have is a Dremel. So I'm gonna try doing this first one by hand. I'm really thinking I might just get a spindle sander. We'll call this a test piece. I did like the placement of the hole in that first piece, so I'm gonna go ahead and drill the holes into all the rest of the J-hooks now. Alright guys, the first J-hooks are up. They're at the level that I need to do squats, so I can do some light squats with these. But there's one thing that I noticed after I put these up, which is that they're a little bit unstable. And the reason for that is the pipe is a little bit too long for the thickness of two 4x4s. I'm gonna trim a little bit off the backside, and then I'm gonna add a 1/2 inch piece of plywood to the backside so that I give it some extra thickness and beef it up. And that way, when I install it, I'll be able to use the caps to the pipe, and I'll tighten them up, and it'll be a little bit more friction tight, and so the tipping should not happen. guys, we're a little over halfway with all the holes, and I really like all the ones that I've done so far. I've made sure everything's level, in the right spot, at the right height. However, the safety bar locations, that'll be next. I also have some attachments to put on here, some storage stuff, things like that. And I got these braided vinyl. This will slide onto the safety bars. I think this will give a little bit more of a dampening effect. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention. The reason that I didn't go with increasing the thickness of the J-hooks was because I was actually able to go to Home Depot and have an employee there take the 8-inch pipes that I had bought and cut the threads on them a little bit deeper. That way the caps thread on a little bit more and I can install them a little bit tighter, and then now I can make them all friction tight on my power rack. Time to put on the finishing touches. Added some steel L brackets to the corners of the fixed part of the power rack that's up against the wall. That was just to add a little bit of extra strength, some reinforcement, so that I can be, extra sure that this thing isn't going to break on me in the future. Also, as a test, I decided to add those L brackets to one side of the power rack, but not the other side. That way, I can kind of run an experiment over the years and see, does the one side hold up using just my T and L brackets that I made out of plywood? We'll see. I don't know how that'll turn out, but I'm pretty confident in the strength of the plywood, but I could be wrong. So, who knows? Guys, well that's it for this video. I really like how this power rack came out. I really like all the versatility that I have in this power rack. I like all the settings that I've got on it so far. Maybe in the future I'll add some more. But yeah, there's so much that I can do in this power rack and I'm really happy with it. And I also love that it folds up against the wall, makes the room a lot more spacious. The room is big enough that my wife can set up a yoga mat and she can still do her workout program while the power rack is open. But if we were to both do a workout together, then I would fold up the power rack and we'd have a little bit more space for each other. So I like that it folds up. I like how sturdy it is. I love just having a power rack in here. I love being able to do squats, Nordics, bench, although I don't do bench all that often. Yeah, I know I'm gonna enjoy it for many years to come. So, and hopefully my son will enjoy using it with me when he gets older. That's it for me, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good one.